Hi YouTube, hopefully everybody's having a great day. I'm waiting for something right now. I am filming this video out in look like a vacant cornfield. There's some fields around me. If you've been watching the security guard channel for some time, Damien, it looks like he can record anywhere and not be distracted. But that's not me, guys. I get easily distracted. If I look around too much, it's because I don't want to get jacked out here. There's actually a transient camp at the end that's all the way in back of me. I didn't even know there's a transient camp. One day I found out, I wasn't paying attention. I was filming a video and then I looked up and the camp was right there. That's not a place you want to be, at a dead end of a transient camp. So I'm going to attempt to answer an email through by a subscriber named Dominic. He does use another name on the channel, and he had a question about less lethal munitions and a question about tear gas and tear gas projectiles, and whether or not he could carry them as a private security officer in California. So this video is designed for those of you who are in California. If you're chiming in from another state, it's always a good idea to know what other states are doing, because sometimes when there's legislation in one state, sometimes it tends to affect another state. There's two great channels that are in Florida. I watch you guys all the time, and you guys know who I'm talking about. There's another great channel, the Security Guard channel. He's located in Portland, Oregon, and I'm always listening to him. So this is California law. I am not an attorney. Even though I say this is the law, if I say the words legally, it doesn't mean I'm giving you any professional or legal advice. You have to do your own research, and by default, I think it's always a good idea to assume the information that I'm giving you is wrong. Even though I try my best. And what you should do is gather that information that I give you and present it to an attorney or some type of other professional that is not me. Okay, so Dominic's question revolved around, and I don't have his, actually I do have his email. I printed it out. It took me some time to actually answer him. Actually, I don't have it. It took me some time to answer his question because it was a very challenging question. And I actually did a 20-minute video giving him an answer. At the end, I learned, or I figured out after watching my own video, that I screwed it all up, that I was wrong. So I just deleted that video and I'm starting from scratch all over again. So okay, let's break down each question or each issue. Rubber bullets. Okay, can you carry rubber bullets? And the answer to that is yes. There is no law that says in California you cannot carry a rubber bullet. Now let's talk about the device that a rubber bullet is projected from. If it's from a firearm, okay, if you have a firearm, a live firearm, and you have a rubber bullet, in California you can carry that weapon with that bullet. But let me give you a caveat here. Number one is, in California, whatever you carry, you have to qualify with. So if you want to carry rubber bullets in your live firearm, you have to qualify with those rubber bullets. I don't know of any firearms training facility that's willing to qualify you with a rubber bullet. I just can't think of any. If you are a firearm training facility, a firearm instructor, a BSIS training instructor, and by the way, a BSIS training instructor is an instructor in California that is authorized to qualify you with a firearm if you're a private security officer. If you are an instructor, please email me, contact me, message me if you have any input to my video. Now, I have a couple of firearm instructors that actually watch this video. They don't comment, which is fine, but sometimes I do get emails from them. So if you're an instructor, you guys, I'm always open to different ideas, no problem at all. But if you're an instructor and you certify somebody with a rubber bullet, then let me know, and you're gonna probably get crickets because I haven't seen it happen. So that's number one. You have to be able to qualify with it. Some of you might be asking, a rubber bullet. Now, I have personally never seen a rubber bullet in a center fire cartridge, like a 9mm, 45, 40. But those of you that reload, I think that you could probably put a rubber bullet in a cartridge. It's just a long shot. I just haven't seen it happen. But I'm trying to address every single issue in this video, as you can see. Number two, if you do get a hold of a rubber bullet, this is going to be the problem. So I'm assuming that in your magazine, the first round that is going to be fired is this rubber bullet. This is the problem. A lot of these exotic rounds, they tend to cause malfunctions in the gun. So those of you who go to a lot of training, what do you do when there's a malfunction in your gun? You pull the trigger, or press the trigger, and no bang. What do you do? What do you do, guys? Well, you tap the magazine, you rack the slide, and then it should go bang. Okay? What is the next bang? Well, it's a real bang. It's going to be the live cartridge. That's a second round in the magazine. So your intent to use less lethal is not going to work. And besides, it's a bad idea to put less lethal projectiles in a lethal projectile, in a lethal weapon. It's just not going to stand well with the courts, with the law enforcement, with the jury, when you have a deadly weapon in your possession that's likely to produce great bodily injury or even death, and you throw some less lethal around in there. There's also some thought about, well, the less lethal round, if it's a lethal encounter, I'll just use a less lethal. Maybe that will stop the person. And then my backup plan is the lethal rounds. You guys that have been in these real life encounters, it doesn't work that way most of the time. Okay. If it works, it might be through a coincidence, maybe an accident, but it doesn't just work that way all the time. You're also endangering yourself and other people, because when you use a firearm, you use it to stop somebody, right? Because it's a lethal threat. If you don't resort to lethal force when you should, you're going to get yourself hurt, or you're going to get other people hurt as well. So putting a rubber bullet or a less lethal bullet in a live firearm is a bad idea. I'm not sure if Dominic intended to present that question. I'm just answering the question as I perceive, the way it was sent to me. Okay, so second, he talked about the Pepperballs, the launchers that, not the launchers, the Pepperballs, and a Pepperball gun. Dominic actually did some research. He cited a code, I think it was 2268. I can't remember off the top of my head. Again, I'm walking around without my notes here, forgive me. But he actually did his research, and he cited a section. And in that penal code section, we, private security, are allowed to carry tear gas, pepper spray, even projectiles, as long as we are certified with pepper spray or tear gas. We're allowed to do that. And Dominic noticed that. So another issue or something that he brought up was, technically they're not allowed to, or these manufacturers are not allowed to sell to Californians. That's true. But I could not find any penal code or section that says that you can't be in possession of those. So as far as I know, you can be in possession of these Pepperball guns. Matter of fact, I think it's Pepperball, they're a licensed trademark. I think that they actually sell the Pepperball gun, which doesn't even really look like a gun. You're allowed to carry it, you're allowed to buy it from them, and you can carry it. Now there's a company called OC Metro. They used to, or maybe they still, patrol the Anaheim Convention Center. And some of these areas, you get a lot of gang fights. I was reading an article, and they have been known to use the Pepperball gun to break up these gang fights. So it looks like they are in use by some security companies. So if you're able to get a hold of one, if somebody will actually sell you one, and Pepperball, the company, will sell them to you. As far as I know from last night, I did my research, and you could buy a gun from them, a Pepperball gun from them. Okay. As for creating your own gun, or having your own gun and then putting less lethal projectiles in it, again, I think it's a horrible idea. I did just mention that if you have, if you're a private security officer and you're working under a private patrol operator employer, you can carry less lethal projectiles. You can. Whether some companies that have the 40 millimeter grenade launchers and the 32 millimeter grenade launchers, or less lethal launchers, as the question is, will they sell them to you? I don't think they're going to sell them to you. There's a lot of penal codes that govern the sale of some of these launchers, because in essence, some of these launchers do qualify as firearms. And the simple definition in California of a firearm, and I'm going to thank one of the BSIS instructors who sent me an email some months ago, maybe about a year ago. He sent me a definition of a firearm, and it's basically something that comes out of a projectile with some type of energy. Okay, now I don't have the code section in my pocket, but that's what it is. Some type of combustion, some type of explosion that occurs inside of the mechanism of the firearm that causes the projectile to come out of a barrel. That's your basic definition of a firearm. If you happen to get a hold of a 40 millimeter or 32 millimeter launcher, if you want to carry it in California, and it's my impression that it is considered a firearm because it meets that definition. Again, I want to thank that BSIS instructor that sent me an email some time ago. You can, but you need to have it on your firearms permit. Okay, you need to have it on your firearms permit. Who is gonna certify you? What training facility with a 40 millimeter rocket launcher, a launcher? I can't think of anybody that will do that, and this is why. If you want to get a certain caliber on your exposed firearm permit in California, that permit has to be listed on your firearm. That caliber has to be listed on your firearm permit. And if it goes on the permit, it needs to also be on the handgun roster. So let me just summarize, because I just went in circles right now. It's getting hot again. Any caliber that you want listed on your firearm permit, that caliber has to be listed on the California Department of Justice handgun roster. There are no 40 millimeter projectiles and 32 millimeter projectiles that I could think of right now off the top of my head, or less lethal projectiles that are on the handgun roster. I can't think of anything right now. And because of that reason, even if a firearms instructor puts that on your permit, BSIS is going to give you a phone call or send you a letter saying that they're not going to accept that qualification. How do I know that? Well, you guys, I always like to challenge the law if it's a gray area sometimes. And what I mean by that is I qualified with a 556, 223, and I got a nasty phone call by BSIS who told me I can't get that on my permit. And we had a lengthy argument, and I asked, would you please cite me the government code, code of regulations, business profession code, penal code that says that I cannot put this caliber on my permit? And she became very argumentative, and she couldn't come up with a reason. I said, ma'am, would you just please cite me the section? And she said, well, if it's not on the handgun roster, then we can't put down your permit. I said, where does it say that, ma'am? And she began to be very argumentative. I'm surprised that somebody actually challenged her for, you know, maybe it's been a while since somebody actually challenged her authority, but that her decision to deny me, I think, was something that was arbitrary. Okay, that's all I have right now. Hopefully I answered Dominic's question. Dominic, if you have any further questions, please feel free to comment below or send me an email, and I'll send you more of a response to that. Some of you might be thinking, well, why is Dominic why does he want to carry a less lethal, a rubber bullet? That's crazy. Why? Well, put it this way. I could actually understand Dominic, because I would like to carry every single thing that there is. I'm not going to carry on my belt. I'm not a tactical guy, but I like to have it at my disposal. There are some security companies that may need to engage in some riot control situations. One of our subscribers, you guys got a very good contract. I think it was over $1 million over the course of, I think, a month. But you were able to help one of the Los Angeles-based police departments take control of the city. The original security company that was on the contract couldn't handle the contract because they didn't have enough manpower. But you had manpower, and you covered the watch, and you did a really good job at it. And this is one of our subscribers, you guys, by the way. So those situations, you want to have it at your disposal. Less lethal options. Now, California is going nuts. In September of this year, Governor Newsom signed a bill into law that restricts the use of less lethal projectiles, the rubber bullets in riot and control large group protest. He put a restriction on that, and the end result is, well, you're right. When you run at less lethal options, you're more pressed for lethal options. That's number one. Or number two, you are pressed to retreat. And it's not because you're scared. It's because you don't want to hurt the people that you have sworn to protect, or that you are going to protect, or people who are on the contract. So let me say this again. If you take away less lethal options, like the governor did in that situation, I'm not too sure he understands the gravity of this. You're either, one, going to be faced with just leaving the situation as is, irrespective if the business is burned down and residents are endangered, because you don't want to use lethal options. I mean, what are you going to do when the crowd moves in on you, surrounds you? You're not going to have those less lethal weapons that are generally effective. It could end up being a horrible situation. So those are my thoughts. If you guys have any questions, concerns, comments, please let me know. And you guys take care.